to Morning Express, and in case you're joining us now, well, we're just coming to the tail end of this discussion. We're looking at how the week has been, politically speaking, and with me in studio, we have the Nairobi County Speaker, that is Madam Beatrice Elachi, and also Suna East Member of Parliament, Junet Mohammed. And, well, just before we took the break, we were looking at some of the intrigues that have happened, but one of those is also NASA members of Parliament, well, boycotting, first of all, the opening session of Parliament, and threatening to boycott any other sitting or even forwarding names to Parliament for the committees. But let's listen in to what the leadership of NASA had to say about this.
Not be party to any parliamentary proceedings or House committees because the houses as are currently constituted are devoid of any legality, and will treat them as Jubilee parliamentary groupings and group meetings.
All right, and well, Junet, you're one of the members of Parliament from NASA, and I believe you did not attend the opening of Parliament, and you also go by what Moses Wetangula has said. But there was also Jubilee leaders coming out to say that, well, you as members of Parliament come in, sign in for the allowances and disappear. Is that honest to the electorate if that's what's happening?
No, first I need to remind you, Michael, that allowances have been removed. Sarah Sarem has taken away the allowances. You can sit there the whole day, there's no allowance you're earning. You're going to get your salary at the end of the month. So the issue is...
Or is it beating the technicality of having not appeared 8 times?
Yeah, the issue is only debating and, you know, doing your function. So this is a decision we have done as a parliamentary group, as a party, as a coalition. Reason being, you know, every election brings in a new dispensation. And Parliament is a legislative agenda to help the executive that has been elected to propel the agenda. As you know, there's an election we are facing in the country. We are not yet done with the presidential election. The executive that is there in place now is an executive that is in temporary incumbency. There are limitations that they face. So we saw the necessity that we need first to finish the issue of the presidential election. Then Parliament can come in now to set the agenda for the country in terms of legislation. It's not we believe that we were sworn in, right? We exist because elections were over in terms of parliamentary section, unless there are petitions that are filed against you individually. But there is a presidential election that is yet to come. So the president should have held his horse. In 2013, the Parliament was inaugurated after the Supreme Court case was over and the new president was sworn in. So if this Supreme Court ruled in favor of upholding the election, by now the president will have been sworn in and will have inaugurated a new president, and you will have opened Parliament now as a president that is duly elected and sworn into office. But now we have a president who is facing an election. You can't come to Parliament now to tell Kenyans your agenda for the next 5 years. You have an election to face. You can't know whether you'll win or lose.
Although business could still go on in regards to your constituents and those that put you in office.
No, my constituents will still exist in 2 months' time. This issue should be, you know, we are facing an election in a month's time. So after a month, we can now...
You'll be ready to work.
To work.
Madam Beatrice Elachi, your thoughts on the members of Parliament from NASA's side?
Well, first of all, he has explained so well. They have a salary in the end of the month. So Kenyans, while your business is going down, they have salaries in the end of the month.
Which they will still earn.
Which they will still earn. They don't need to go to the house
of not working.
Because the REM has removed. So they've even said it's not just because of what is happening now. It means somebody can decide not to be going in the house because there's no sitting allowance. So they will just sign and move out. One thing I know they're signing. I mean, they know. And I know Mheshimiwa is a bit better. He knows how he works with his constituency. But there are those who, their constituencies, and I want to ask Mheshimiwa, there are children who are on bursary. How are they going to move on? Some of them are now being sent back home. They need this bursary from their CDF. So let us not now play the game. Let us now look at many issues. As Mheshimiwa says, fine, you can do all this we are doing for for the sake of the former Prime Minister and the President. But let us remember, you were not voted in. Maybe even in your constituency, they were not bothered about those things you're talking about. They were bothered about how do we ensure Mheshimiwa comes back because he has been performing for us. You know, one thing we always forget, yeah? In the end of the day, if you go back to the constituency now and ask, how many times have you seen former Prime Minister? Maybe they have not seen him for the last 4 years. How many times have you seen the President? But in the end of the day, they know Mheshimiwa is there. The MCA is there to represent us. And there's something they do. One of the things I want to plead to them, many children are going back home because of school fees that was being paid by bursary, not just on him, but even I know even the MCAs have been crying. And therefore, I would want to see them now go and look for these bursaries wherever they are and ensure it goes on the ground so that these kids can also go back. It is just very close to exams. Some of them are Form 4s. So let us not just play the games of the politics. Let us also look at what have you been doing as a Mheshimiwa for your people, and they are waiting for that.
Mheshimiwa, are you being fair to your constituents when you're not attending Parliament? And there are other things that you could do. Fine, the President may not be the one to address the House every single time, but there's business that can continue.
No, they are supporting the boycott, our constituencies, fortunately. They are
so regardless of their children,
yeah, no, on this one, they are with us. They are saying unless this matter, the other matter I was telling you of the elections is sorted out, you are on the right track. I can confirm to you. I won't do anything that is contrary to my constituents. They are totally in agreement that we need to sort out the presidential election.
And now we can only take your word.
No. I will tell that.
You
that
can
is
go
Suna.
do opinion there.
We cannot take Suna East with my constituencies in the rural, the Lugari, and the same. All I would say is that fine in Suna. I appreciate both of you with your children, even the Form 4. You have decided you are on this trail of politicians who their children are not even in part of any of those public schools. It is very, very sad.
No.
But at the same time, I know, I have right now parents who are waiting, even in that rural
Lugari,
home,
where you come from?
I'm going this weekend, I have young students who are waiting
Senator,
to be supported to go back because of their Form 4 exams.
All right,
so if we cannot mix.
Even our own rural MP, Lugari MP, and Lukuyani MP, where she comes from, we were with them in the parliamentary group meeting. Their constituents support the same idea.
It's okay.
And maybe we can only assume and take your word that they actually do, because at the end of the day, their children are not going to school, or there are other things that need to be done that are not being done because of the boycott. At the end of the month, come end
First of all,
September,
let me just finish this for Mheshimiwa, who still has young children. We have our young children in school. But you know your principals, all of their children have finished. I know my principal from Bungoma, in fact, some of his children are working now in the embassies abroad, all that. So you see, they are comfortable. Their children are working. In fact, they are looking at their grandchildren who are still young. So you can imagine when you sit here and tell Kenyans who their children are in public schools, we are on a boycott. Surely, in the end of the day, it goes back to a family. And I want us to always respect that as much as we play this and people wake up in the morning to vote for us, let us not take it as a joke. I mean, they come out with one reason. I am coming out to vote for Gitonga to see change, transformation in my life.
Speaker.
But if we now come and we start doing this to our electorate, surely they will not even come out next time, Jeanette. But I think you'll have finished your 10 years.
Let me tell you, Speaker.
You'll be thinking other things.
You just said here that our economy is not doing well.
Yeah.
Our shilling is going down.
Yeah.
Our pockets are getting empty. Our children are not going to school. You see, if we do things right, if we have proper election, we have proper governance, proper democracy, all this will be behind us. If we conducted our election on 8th of August, as per the Constitution, within the confines and dictates of the Constitution, by now we will not be discussing elections. We will be moving to other things. We will have moved on to other things. I will have been in Parliament now debating.
And possibly...
irrespective of whether NASA won or lost. But if they lost in accordance with the Constitution, I will be the first person to tell them this election we've lost. Let's wait for 2022. But if the elections are a lot of irregularities and illegalities, and it is someone to win by all means, then we will have this problem for the next 20 years.
All right.
And he has just said something. someone to win with all means. Now, let me go to this. And I've said, I know Kenyans will think, okay, Senator now has, or Speaker has become a crazy woman. But let me say this. You know, we are driven into a history, Gitonga, that is a very, very sad history, where the family of Kenyatta, the family of the Odingas, and because of father and father, and now we have son and son, that one cannot believe the other can win the other. I mean, it is wrong. And I want to tell both families that, you know what? Kenya wants to move. Kenya wants to move. And I want to tell the Odinga family, it's unfortunate we are not God, that we will ensure he wins. We are not God, Junet. God, you know, in the end, anoints, let me just finish, anoints a leader. Now, if Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has won, and for the first time, God knew this will happen and made sure he wins the country first of all, wins the whole country, so that when you come with doubts, we will be asking ourselves, fine, you win. And you know, history repeats itself. I remember former Prime Minister, why we went back on the drawing board on this issue of 207 was just one question on Kibaki. How can, and the whole world asked the former president, how can you win the country when you don't have members in parliament, when you don't have, at that time it was parliament, you don't have members in parliament.
And maybe that'll
and open, now it's changed. God wanted to show former prime minister, this is how people win. I give you the whole country, they won. Red.
All right.
I give you MCS,
you
win.
Let me clarify.
I want to listen, and maybe there's a I'll give you a chance. Let me clarify. Let me just, let's just first of all listen to what the president had to say, because this maybe will justify the boycott for the members of parliament. And this is when the president, well, was it a threat? What is it that he was saying when he first of all said that should even Raila win, maybe there is another solution to this. Let's listen in.
The National Assembly, with 220-something, we are only now 13 members shy of a two-thirds majority, meaning we can even change the Constitution of Kenya, without a single member of NASA. With 41 senators elected and nominated, we can do business in the Senate without a single member of NASA present in the Senate. Hata akichaguliwa, we have the opportunity in Parliament within 2 months, 3 months. Tumemtoa.
All right, so does that justify what Madam Speaker is saying?
Yeah, let me explain one thing first. She just talked about Raila and Kenyatta and those issues. It is very clear in this country that Raila won the 2007 elections. Any human being who's living in this world knows that. But did he become president? In spite of having high number of MPs in parliament? No, they refused. They said, no, you cannot get presidency. 2013 he won, he never was given. Now, this one, what the president is saying, I support him. We will impeach Raila after he wins. I agree with him. But let him first occupy State House. Let him become president. Then I will support him to impeach Raila. I mean, this was the best statement the president has made for the last 2 months.
I think the key word is if.
No, let us impeach him after he becomes president, because the impeachment is a process, we will follow it through. It's in the Constitution. But let him accept first that this man is a president and he needs to be impeached. Now, this issue you are seeing that is recurring in this country in every election is because of the problems we face during elections. Look at what happened, Michael, in 2007. I think you were around. She was there, my sister, the speaker. I was there. Elections were done. The Electoral Commission chairman in the end said he doesn't know who won. He can't tell you whether it is Raila who won or Kibaki who won. You see, and you have 115 or 10, I don't know, MPs in parliament, and PNU, whom was competing with you, was 43. Now they're using the same route again. We have more numbers now. Why didn't you accept that time, Raila, to become president? He has numbers.
Well,
now you are saying, listen, now you are saying we have more governors. We have 30 governors, you 25 governors. Last election, 2013, we had more governors than Jubilee. We had 24 governors, they had 21. How comes we didn't become president?
Because you lost.
How? Now why are you claiming that you have numbers? You have more governors now.
Because you lost.
Well,
All right.
You know, this yardstick must apply throughout.
Well,
You can't just use it when it fits you. I have more numbers than how to become president.
No.
Last election, 2013,
Let me
we
show
were
you now.
controlling 24 counties.
Yeah.
And that was what was being used against us. Why are you not managing your counties very well? You have more counties.
Oh yeah, you didn't manage. You didn't manage.
Right.
Don't go that route.
Don't go that route. We had that time. We should have been given the presidency that time. Lastly, the president, I don't know who has misled him or who has given him that
clip
numbers. No, that number in Parliament. Even yesterday we sat in Parliament. Jubilee has exactly the same numbers that they had in 2013. They have 216 members of Parliament. It's not 13 or 19, 13 shy. And for you to change the constitution, you need 232, 34.
That's what he said, 13 shy of.
Last Parliament, whenever there was a constitutional bill that required two-thirds majority, we had to do a bipartisan, sit with the Jubilee and CORD and pass it. It cannot happen. You cannot change the constitution completely. That one, forget about it, it will never happen.
All right.
Anyway,
And
all I wanted to tell Mheshimiwa is that there are two things we look at the whole process, yeah? And that is why I talked about that history. All I wanted to bring and raise around is that, as he says, and he says it very clear, that 2007 you won, and now, because Kenyans, we are so tribal and we use our political blocks, one block left them. And it was a very key block that they need, even now, if they want to win, which was Rift Valley. So if Rift Valley left, surely, then you are telling us you'll still have the numbers, you will win? No. But everyone has his own strategy of how we're going to do this. I think what Kenyans and our businessmen and our entrepreneurs who are going down will want to see us do for them is that let us just go to these elections and let us now cross the bridge, and after that, we will see. For the counties, I don't want to talk about it because the worst is my own Nairobi County. And I want to tell Mheshimiwa, with all due respect, that when you hear a few things, you must ask yourself, that this is at an individual level, and I would want you to also go look at the counties where these governors have come back. Let us not play around. And when you look at Nairobi, when you see someone walk into the council with no fear or favor to ask to be paid something, and you can see what you want to be paid for is a rot completely. There's nothing you did. But the money he's asking, he can be lynched and be told, you go to your maker, because this is like, I mean,
daylight robbery.
Daylight robbery. And just removing the nakedness of all those Nairobians who are there. So when I look at what my governor did, who is my very good friend, and sometimes I feel very sad because I remember in some ways the way we'd meet and you'll just throw in a few words. It is unfortunate for Nairobi. And it will take a while. I know my governor will not be able, but it will take a while until we come and feel that grip of bringing back Nairobi where it's supposed to be. So for the governors, it's a story that all of us should not smile around, should not think about our politics, but we must, or our parties. Let us look at it because this is public resources.
All right. I want us to wind up, and I want us to look at one more thing that hit the headlines this week. And early this week, leaders from northeastern Kenya accused NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga of unfairly targeting commissioners of IEBC. And led by Majority Leader Eden Duale, the leaders say Odinga is the enemy of the people of northeastern. Let's listen in to what they had to say.
We have seen the same happen to Engineer Sharawe. Engineer Sharawe, by the way, for information, has been a public servant throughout his life, and he has served in different capacities. He was removed out of office through the instigation of Raila Amolo Odinga. We have had Mr. Alwi, who has also been a career public servant who has worked at the port. He was also removed. Where Ahmed Isaac, a renowned lawyer, was removed out of office as a result of the instigation of Raila. Madam Kula Ake, a renowned educationist, the same fate. Really.
we are telling Raila Odinga and his NASA principles in no uncertain term, you cannot have two ways. That you will come to our people to ask for votes on the 17th of October, and you can go away with profiling people of our community who are serving in independent commissions. These members of parliament are saying no, and we will take this message to our people in rallies, in the mosque, in the markets, and tell them that the enemy of the people of the North is one Raila Amolo Odinga.
Jeanette, is it an attack on people from a certain area?
You know, I did know that Professor Gulie went to IEBC to represent a tribe or a community until my colleagues from Northeastern spoke. Initially, I was thinking that he was recruited professionally. He's a professional who worked at the Egerton University, who got his job on merit.
And representing Kenya.
And representing the country. So it's only that it occurred to me 2 days ago that when you are taken to a commission or a public office, you represent the interest of your community and your tribe. It just occurred to me that day. I didn't know up to the day before yesterday. Now I know. Having known that, then that means we have to appoint Kenyans based on their tribal interests and communities. Even Chebukati and this guy, what's his name, Chaloba, come from communities. Even the other commissioners, the one from Taita, the one from Kisii, all of them have communities. So that means any appointment that is done in this country, that means even the president is just there because of his community.
But on the same
if
breath,
we go that way,
Mheshimiwa, we've also had NASA go to the people of Abagusi and say, listen, Maraga is, or rather, Maraga is being attacked by the president, and that's an attack on the Kisii. Isn't that double standard?
Who said that?
There was
those are inferences that were made when we went to Kisii.
By the opposition.
When I went to Kisii, I was there with Kisii and Nyamira. We never said that Maraga is being attacked because he's a Kisii. We said the Chief Justice is being attacked.
Why do that specifically in Kisii?
As your son.
Why in Kisii?
No,
why not do that anywhere else in the country but in Kisii?
No, we've done it. We've done it in Kisii, in Nyamira. We have done it in Kisumu. We have done it here in Nairobi. Even the rally in Kibera, we talked about Maraga. So it's not because we never came out the way my brothers came out and said our brother is being lynched because he's a Somali. We didn't say that. We said Maraga is being attacked. The Chief Justice is being attacked. The Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya is under siege. That's what we said.
All right. Madam Beatrice Elachi, will we ever move as a country from where, even when somebody is in a public office, when they need to be accountable, it is viewed as though it's an attack on the people from that particular area?
Well, because of the politics. I think why it goes on that route, it is how politicians, we remove people from their careers, which is true. Remember, we destroyed careers of the last IEBC that was there. And you would see in the manner on how we did it. So I think when it comes to politics, it becomes a game where people play around. But having said that, you know, one thing I respect about Jeanette's community is they know how to shield each other. Absolutely. And therefore, as much as he's talking like this here, they will understand. The good thing with them, they normally understand that because of his political affiliation. If there's a community, Kenyans should borrow on how to take care of their people. I think it's the community from the northern region. They know how to protect. They do not look at their parties. That time they come in together and they will stand in. So for me, I just want to say this. For Kenya to move, and I know Kenya will move because we have a lot of intermarriages. We have a lot. There's a generation that will change all this. It will take maybe the next 10, but it will come to change. That is the best thing I can talk about. But also to say that, yes, every region has come out to protect their own. I think it is only in Western where I can see my principal saying a criminal is a criminal. But I want to tell him now that, you know what, the mother of Cheloba, wherever she is, she's also wondering, why is my son in all this? And when we continue doing all this, they get into fear. Fear that their children...
I need us to wind up. I need us to wind up. So maybe together with that, your closing comments.
Yes, and I want to close with Kisumu. fear that my son has done this. These are young people who have done their best. First of all, we must appreciate that it is a young generation even that is going to manage our election. And that young generation would wish to see. And I know those who participated in the elections on 8th, they did it knowing we are young, we are giving our country what is best, in whatever small polling stations they were. Now, what we want to see is let us give these young people the next opportunity to do what is rightful, regardless of us politicians, how we play our game. I looked at Kisumu, and I want to plead with the young people in Kisumu and all over. Let us not now start going inside meetings and hurting women and robbing them in the name of saying people are buying IDs. One of the things they must know is women are going to have fear, and they will now... And now what you've just done for Kisumu, you have said we cannot bring any seminar there. We cannot bring any business there because people will fear. I am going in. An investor will think, let me go and have my seminar in Kisumu. Instead of the seminar, they will say you've come to buy what? IDs. So you're trying to avoid your economy to grow in a manner which is not very rightful. And it was very unfortunate I didn't see even members coming out to rebuke and condemn it because, one, it is wrong for young. And they were not young. When you look at the clip, they are also aged men who walked in as are charged on those women. I mean, it is not right. It's not slapping the receptionist that was at Jumuiya. I think it is wrong. And these were people who I mean, as I listen to them, it is not right.
Mheshimiwa Junaid Mohammed, your closing comments briefly as we wind up.
Michael, you know, one thing that we must agree as a country, that we must live as one nation, as one country. If we now go back to our tribal cocoons, when somebody has done a very serious and grievous criminal offense against the country, bungling of an election is a very serious crime that we cannot discuss now whose mother is crying and whose father is crying. If you have been given a responsibility as a Kenyan, you are employed as a Kenyan, you are given a job to work for Kenyans, and if you don't perform it, then later you say, because of my community, because of my father, because of my tribe, it will not work. So I am really asking my speaker here not to go to that direction where Chiloba's mother is crying, Gulia's father is crying. No, we can't go that way. We have to handle things in a better way. That's why we have a constitution. That's why we have laws. That's why we have regulations. That's why we have systems that are working in place. What happened is not something to be borrowed from. She said my community is one of the best. You cannot borrow certain acts that are not good from other communities. You must borrow the best practices from other communities. So shielding somebody for no reason is not a practice. It's not a good practice to borrow.
All right, Mheshimiwa, thank you very much. I think we'll wind up right there. That's Junaid Mohammed, Suna East Member of Parliament, and Nairobi County Speaker Beatrice Elachi this morning, just looking at a rundown of what happened over the week, politically speaking. For now, we're going to take a short break. It's 26 minutes after 8, and do stay with us right here on Morning Express. We still have some more stories making headlines coming up.